Hey guys, it's Misty, and it's time for book chat. So I was trying to decide what to do for this month's chat, but then I was chatting with a friend the other day about Anna Dressed in Blood, and just recorded my Green Shelf bookshelf tour where I discussed The Thorn and the Blossom, and suddenly it hit me, we need to have a chat about design choices. I know we kind of touch on sort of cover design topics a lot, but I'm not just talking about pretty covers or fabulous artwork. I'm talking about the actual little details that you may not even notice, but that once you do, you appreciate, or that make the book stand out to you without you even realizing why. I think that books have come a long way, and book design teams have come a long way in some of the things that they implement to grab your attention and make a book stand out. For instance, since it's the one that started the chat, the Anna Dressed in Blood duology. If you've read this, you may have noticed, but it's subtle enough that you may not have noticed, the font is a rusty red dried blood color, which is this subtle little design choice that is not going to stand out. You're not going to open it and say, oh hey, the writing is red. But once you notice it, you're like, oh my god, that's kind of creepy. And it just suits the book perfectly. It's this very subtle little thing that stands out and it's gonna stick in your head and you're gonna talk about that. It's an excellent talking point. So when you're chatting, about Anna Dressed in Blood with someone, you're gonna talk about all the lovely things with Anna and Cass, but at some point you're gonna say, oh my god, did you notice that the font is dried blood? Like, that is kind of genius. And of course, as was the case with the person I was talking to, some people won't have noticed and they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, I have to go back and look at that now. So it's really, not to keep saying subtle, but it's really subtle and interesting, and it's a very decided choice. It's a very bold choice without being in your face, and I think that's really interesting. The Shiver series by Maggie Stiefvater does this too. Things like really great book end papers will do this too, grab a lot of you and make you really have to have the book or notice the book because it feels complete since it has these beautiful end papers. Or if a book is sort of leather bound or has gilded edges or the little ribbons, that's something that I think draws a lot of people in as well. At the very least, it creates something memorable about the book. Of course, a lot of us now notice foiling, something that can be used, subtly or a lot to create a really cool impact. The Mist series by Catherine James kind of uses foiling and holographic qualities. So Frost uses foiling, colored foiling, in the butterflies. But then in the font, there's like a holographic sheen, and Mist has a sort of muted holographic overlay, which is really gorgeous. Similarly, Robin McKinley's Sunshine has this gorgeous holographic sparkle overlay to kind of give the idea of that light refraction that you'd get, with sunshine. And it's really stunning. Just in person, it's absolutely gorgeous. So a lot of us are used to foiling and immediately drawn to foiling. I know I am. Same with embossing. Anything that kind of gives you texture like this. All of the fine detail in the space between, that's all embossed. So it's all raised and it has just that added little impact because of it. Many of us for a few years now have been lauding the allure of the buttery cover. It's not something that can be seen. It is a finish on the cover. It's matte and it's got this sort of, we all call it butter covers, but it's like a sort of velvety, very soft, very interesting feel to the cover. And I know I'm not alone in being one that will kind of want to own a book because of that, or be very, very excited when a book that I want to own gets a matte, buttery, velvety cover. It's just like, yes! Same with deckled edges, right? I mean, we all get really excited when a book has those uneven deckled edges. And we know it's silly, but that doesn't change the fact that we're immediately drawn to it. I think some publishing houses are starting to get a little more creative in the things that they use. Always trying to have a leg up, do the next cool thing, what have you, or bring back older techniques. One publishing house that's kind of known for this and really good at it is Quirk Books, who put out things like The Thorn and the Blossom, which is an accordion printed book. And I think we all can agree there's really nothing else out there like that. It's a very old technique that they brought back to really stunning effect. Or their Lovecraft Middle School series, which has these really awesome overlays. Some other things that stand out for me are cloth-bound editions and repeating patterns. So the Penguin cloth-bound series is kind of perfect for that because it has the repeating patterns, it has the ribbon bookmark, and it is that awesome cloth feel. One that I talked about recently, and I'm still not entirely sure how to describe this one, is the book Harbinger, which has this, I don't know how to describe it, light canvas. I don't know if you can see the fine lines of the canvas in there. You can hear the kind of vinyl canvas feel that it has. It's got some embossing and it's got a lot of scroll work, but it really, I have no other books and I've come across no other books that feel like this, and it's a really interesting design technique that I hadn't seen and that I'm curious about, which of course makes the book stand out, it makes the book memorable. Another that I talk about a lot is the sort of embossing, I don't really know what it is, on Burn Bright, which looks honestly like silk. It's like a silk overlay and it glows. It catches any tiny little bit of light and just bounces it back, and it does not pick up on camera, and if you live outside of Australia, this may never happen, but if you ever see it in person, just pick it up and go like this. Because it is really just a stunner. It really just does glow. It shines, it burns. And it's cases like that, like Burn Bright, that has this shining, burning, bright font, or like Anna, that has dried blood text on the inside, or even like Sunshine with his pinpricks of light. It's things like that where the choices really are unified and not only make the book stand out, but they match the book and really express some element of the book in a really unique way. Or the early covers of Jackson Pierce's fairy tale series, where there are silhouettes, but the silhouettes have a sort of hidden picture that tells you more about the story. So you've got just trees and a little house, but you've also got a face of a wicked witch within the trees. Little nods to the story, little things that really stand apart and stand on their own, but also perfectly represent that book. Really solid, smart, clever design choices. So I'm definitely interested what some of your favorite design elements and interesting techniques are, if you've come across any. If you're not the type that notices them, do you think that it is sort of a waste? Is it something that you want to pay more attention to? You know, kind of what's your take on it? Or if you're just sick of hearing me talk about design, because we've talked about covers and we've talked about spines and every now and then I talk about typography. If you're sick of it, you know, let me know that too, but it probably won't stop. Definitely curious to see which books you've come across that have really, really interesting elements to them, especially because that means they will be put on my list of books to see next time I'm in a bookstore. If you've got any books on your shelves with really cool design elements, definitely do a video response and leave it below so that I can check it out and everyone else can find some other neat designs and elements that we just need to have. Also, if you have a really cool idea for what you think they should do for the next awesome design element, let us know, share that. What would you love to see? What would make you pick up a book? And if you have any ideas for book chat, of course, leave them in the comments below. Feel free to link up your responses as a video response or vlog or blog posts on the linky at thebookrat.com. But that's all from me for now. As always, happy reading!